Let's be honest, LEGO has made some really brilliant masterpieces, but for every Millennium Falcon and modular building, there's a set so bad, so confusing, or just so lazy that you have to wonder who approved this. Today, we're counting down the 10 worst LEGO sets ever made. We're talking poor design, weak builds, strange licenses, and straight up flops. This list will go from meh to what the actual brick were they thinking? Right, let's dive straight into the disaster zone, I guess. This one's from 1991, and while we can cut it some slack due to the age, even by early 90s standard, this is brutal. 1610 is supposed to be a police car, but it barely even looks like a car. It's basically a brick on wheels with a steering wheel slapped in the middle. No doors, no roof, no real interior. The scale is weird, and the entire thing looks like it's built out of leftover parts. And yet, this was actually sold as a standalone model. It's less of a police cruiser and more of a sad ice cream truck that gave up. This 2022 set had so much potential. Wakanda, Black Panther, epic water battle. What we got was a $90 floating blob. The boat is ridiculously oversized, hollow, and somehow still under-detailed. It feels like it should be part of a bigger set, but it's the main event. And the worst part? Barely any play features. It's just a giant shell with minifigures that could have easily come in a $30 set. You're basically paying for a name and a license, not the LEGO experience. Now, this one's just weird. LEGO partnered with Coca-Cola in the early 2000s and released this thing. It's called a bottle case, but it's really just a red brick crate with a Coca-Cola sticker and some clear cones. There's no play value, no minifigures, no real build. It's just a bad promotional giveaway. You build a box, that's it. It's branded, boring, and built entirely for collectors who probably never opened it anyway. This should have been cool. A kid transforming into different aliens, but LEGO went super weird with it. Instead of classic minifigures or buildable sets, we got these awkward, oversized action figures made from weird parts that didn't really fit the Bionicle aesthetic, or anything else to be fair. They looked decent from the front, but the back is another story for some of them, and the proportions of them can also look a bit unsettling. LEGO tried to chase the Bionicle market, but this wasn't it. Even fans of the show stayed away. Ultimate Showdown? More like Ultimate Letdown. This set gave us one of the most disappointing Marvel battles ever. A tiny buggy that looks like a mock built in 5 minutes. The Mandarin minifigure and the Iron Man figure were pretty decent for the time at least, which was the only reason anybody would ever purchase this set. Other than that though, for a licensed superhero set, it was no real wow factor. The car build is pointless and the play features are minimal. At least it's accurate to the movie though, right? Nope, it never even happened in the movie. Like, what the hell were you thinking, LEGO? These were LEGO's bold attempt to mash Star Wars with their Bionicle-style building system. On paper, it almost sounds cool. You get the idea? Combine the iconic Star Wars characters we love with the posable, build-your-own style of Bionicle. In theory, it should have been a win. In practice, absolutely cursed. Most of these sets looked barely recognizable compared to the characters they were supposed to represent. I'm looking at you, Ray. Human faces were downright nightmare-inducing. Their eyes felt like they were staring into your soul in the worst possible way. Some of them had awkward proportions and a general off vibe that made them hard to look at. The armor pieces and weapons were solid and sturdy, but often felt oversized or oddly shaped, throwing off the overall silhouette. Articulation was limited and chunky, making dynamic posing frustrating more than fun. Some of these even seemed more like a puzzle than a playable toy when you tried to build them. Displaying them was another headache. The figures often looked stiff or unbalanced, more like half-built prototypes than finished products. It was LEGO trying to make action figures, and failing at both being LEGO and being action figures. LEGO, why? This is one of the most iconic Clone Wars vehicles, the Clone Turbo Tank, or Juggernaut if you'd prefer. It's big, it's intimidating, and in LEGO form, it's been a fan favorite for years, especially the 2005 and 10 versions, and it's a very highly requested set for LEGO to remake. So when LEGO announced a 2025 Turbo Tank, fans got hyped. Finally, a modern update, better parts usage, improved detailing, maybe some new Phase 2 clones. But then it dropped, and what we got was this. Quickly looking at it, and it looks really good, but then you start looking into the details a bit more. This version feels like LEGO designed it with one goal: cut as many corners as possible. It's like someone took the OG Turbo Tank, pressed shrink, and called it a day. And it shows. The wheels look slapped on, the interior is cluttered, the exterior detailing is almost completely smoothed over, and they ironed out the complexity and the charm at the same time. And then there's the price. You would expect a stripped down version to cost less, right? Nope. The 2025 model is priced higher than the 2010 version, which had more pieces, more features, and more figures. And it is smaller than the ATTE for a higher price. I feel like J. Jonah Jameson talking about Spider-Man, Jesus. Another Coca-Cola collab. Another lazy set. This one's literally a sign. That's it. No real build, no characters, no creativity, just a tiny rectangular board. And judging by the pictures, there's not even any Coca-Cola branding. Wait, sorry, I lied. There is a sticker sheet, but the front of the packaging doesn't even tell you that. Yes, it's sort of a collector's item, I guess, but as a Lego set, it's barely even that. You could build this with 2 black 1x3 plates, a white windscreen, and a sticker sheet off the internet. It's not play-friendly, not fun, and absolutely not worth tracking down unless you're a Coca-Cola fanatic. This is probably the most unintentionally hilarious and frustrating Star Wars set Lego has ever released. 75201 First Order ATST. Sounds pretty standard, right? Solid Walker set based on the sequels, with some cool minifigures, maybe a few play features, but here's what Lego actually gave us. A walker without a head. Yep, this thing literally shipped with just the legs and the body of an ATST. No cockpit, no roof, no armor plating, just an exposed chair on top, if you can even call it a chair. It looks like someone rage quit halfway through the build. Now, yes, technically, this was based on a brief moment in The Last Jedi where BB-8 hijacks a destroyed ATST whose head was ripped off somehow, but let's be real, nobody wanted that version of the walker. And even worse, this thing retailed for $40. $40 for a walker that looks like it just escaped a junkyard. And Lego didn't even try to disguise it. It's just out there. It looks like a Lego mock that somebody forgot to finish. The minifigures were pretty solid though. Finn in disguise, Captain Phasma, Rose disguised as a First Order officer, and BB-8. But it wasn't enough to distract anyone from the main issue. This is supposed to be an ATST, a walker, and it literally has no head. Imagine buying a Millennium Falcon set and the cockpit was just missing, or a TIE fighter without wings. This isn't just a design choice, it's a design failure. But hey, at least we get a cool lift design. And honestly, it's kind of poetic that it ended up on the number 2 spot on this list, because the only thing worse than a headless walker is whatever nightmare is waiting for you at number 1. This is it. The flagship. The absolute worst Lego set of all time. The Galador line was a massive failure, but Nick, the main character, was the poster child of how wrong Lego could go. Weird proportions, rubber-like limbs, no bricks, no studs, no building. It looked like a Happy Meal toy, had a bad dream. Now if you don't know or have never heard of Galador, then consider yourself lucky. Galador, Defenders of the Outer Dimension, was a science fiction television show. It merchandised with its own Lego action figure line in exchange for Lego partially funding the series. The show follows Nick Bluetooth, who awakens on his birthday to find a floating table that leads to an egg-shaped transport that sends him into the outer dimension. It's a very weird sounding show, to be honest. Anyway, Galador nearly killed Lego in the early 2000s. It was part of a TV show tie-in that flopped, and the sets barely even used traditional Lego elements. Nick isn't even a Lego figure. He's an abomination. Even Lego doesn't acknowledge Galador anymore. Until 2017, that is, when Lego released set number 70620, Ninjago City, from the Lego Ninjago movie line. This set contains not one, but 2 small Easter eggs mentioning Galador. The first is this movie poster based off of the original TV show poster, and the second mention being this minifigure named Mother Doomsday, where he has a Galador printed across his shirt. But sadly, that is not enough to redeem this. So there you have it, 10 Lego sets that never should have made it off the drawing board. Some were just lazy, others were cash grabs, and a few were so cursed they've become legendary in all the wrong ways. But hey, even the best brands have their missteps, and at the end of the day, the bad sets make us appreciate the great ones even more. Did I miss a terrible set you think should have made the list? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and subscribe for more Lego deep dives, fun facts, and brutally honest rankings, because sometimes it's fun to look at the bricks that definitely don't click.